Namaste. First and foremost, I would like to wish each and every Indian, wherever he is on the globe, a very, very happy Independence Day. Let us first try to understand what this word independence really means. Are we really independent is a question. When I look at the definition for independence, that you are not going to be dependent on anybody or anything for what you want to achieve or for what you want to believe. Are we truly independent is the question that is there in front of us. And sadly, the answer is a no. When you look at every field out there, at every stage, we are dependent on a lot of countries. We are dependent on a lot of economies. That's a different question altogether. But I, being an academician, would like to focus on the field of education. Are we really independent in the field of education? Were we not governed by certain principles that a British left? Were we still following the same old systems of education that the British wanted us to go through? The sad answer remains a yes. We need to understand the history of our education in the first place. We as a culture were known for a very vibrant ancient education system, whether be it called as the Gurukula system or the system of academicians having discourses, debates, or a system of universities is well known and well documented. Then came the British. The moment the British really stamped their authority on our country, that was the time the Indian education system really started its decline. It is shocking that 60 years into the British rule, there was no focus on education in the first place. Then slowly in the 1780s, 1790s, there was a couple of efforts, one started by Warren Hastings, to really inculcate education amongst the masses, where they started universities for Muslim law, Hindu law, and other related courses. Of course, primarily focusing on languages, Persian and Sanskrit alike. 1813, 1820 was the time where there was this huge debate, huge discussion that what should be the medium of instruction. Should the medium of instruction be English, that was proclaimed by so many people, or the medium of instruction should be the vernacular languages? This was set aside by Lord Macaulay. He's no lord for me, so I will just call Macaulay. Macaulay introduced a system which is even today, unfortunately, is being followed in every nook and corner of our country, called as the Macaulay system of education. He, in the year 1835, propagated this system, and he propagated a system called as the downward filtration theory. Now, what does this theory mean? According to this theory, only a select few, only the elite, only the upper class were given an opportunity to study. And what was given to study? They were only given to study English language, English literature, and Western science. They were asked to completely neglect the ancient Indian traditions and the ancient Indian wisdom. Now, their idea was very simple. They wanted to create a bunch of Indians who, according to the words of Warren Hastings, were Indian by blood and color, but English by opinion, taste, and morals. This is the exact wordings that was used by Macaulay himself. Were they successful? Oh my God, they were extremely successful. People like Rajaram Mohan Roy led this revolution. They said English is what is going to be the most important aspect for education, and thus started the real revolution of destroying the Indian education system and starting popularizing the Western education system out there. It continued until today. But the saddest part is this education is only for the elite. It was only for a very small number of people. It was completely neglected for the masses. Shockingly, in the year 1921, the literacy rate in India was 8%, which means 92% were illiterate. And when you look at female education or women education, it was girl education, it was even more horrible. Only 2% amongst the girls were really literate in the year 1921. What's happening to our country today? We are still under very, very similar clutches. Now, we need to understand the design that was followed by the British. Now, why did they want only a few people to really be educated? Point number one, they did not have enough money diverted towards education. In fact, in the year 1813, as per a charter, 1 lakh rupees was allocated for the education system transformation. For 10 years, this money did not even come. It came only in the year 1823. Then there was a dispute. By 1835, this 1 lakh was focused only on ensuring that the education be Western. 2, it was ensured that the need of the hour was only clerks, the need of the hour was only youngsters who can understand English and do the tasks that were provided by the British government. So they did not want people to stand up, to ask questions, to inquire, to get involved in scientific research. All they wanted were clerks and positions in the office which did not require much thinking. Hence, it was only a very small number that was being educated in the first place. The masses were completely neglected. 3, they wanted the propagation of Western ideas. Propagation of Western ideas such as colonialism, socialism, democracy amongst the youth. And that could only happen through the infiltration theory, downward filtration theory, where a select few who are learned in English would pass on that knowledge to their relatives, to their friends, or to people in their neighborhood in the respective languages. So at the end of the day, British wanted only a few people to be educated such that they be intermediates or translators to the general or the mass population out there. Sadly, that was the state of our education system. When I look at the education system post-independence, were there a lot of changes? Of course, there were significant changes, but the majority of it still remained the same, which was propagated by Macaulay. We are still today, unfortunately, following the Macaulay system of education, which only had only one intention: to create people who can do certain tasks efficiently. This Independence Day is really special for me, and it should be special for every Indian out there, because this is the year when the new education policy is being framed, is being implemented. Now, why is new education policy really special, keeping in mind the concept of independence? The real focus of education remains self-reliance, and that's what in our Prime Minister's words, Atmanirbhar Bharat, that can only be possible if education is there for everyone out there in our country. It took 70 odd years for us to create a RTE, or right to education, until the age of 18. So until now, until this new education policy, the government felt that education was not a right. That's one of the significant achievements, I would say, as per the NEP guidelines. Right to education is extended till the age of 18. Education was propagated through the vernacular languages or the local languages back then in the ancient Indian education system. Then it was replaced by the English, and now, thankfully, according to this new policy, until grade 5, wherever possible in the country, the education should happen through the mother tongue or through the local languages. Because at the end of the day, children understand better in their own language, in their mother tongue. Sadly, there was a meeting that was conducted by Mahatma Gandhiji in the year 1937. It was the National Conference of Education. In that meeting, he proposed that the education should be implemented through local languages. It has taken us so long for us to really implement it. Education was kept only for a few even after independence. When you look at the villages, people at the higher posts, people at power did not want the entire mass to really get educated. Because if they get educated, they'll start asking questions. When they start asking questions, their authority is questioned. But come the new education policy, the right to education until the age of 18 will ensure that we will have a well-informed youth who will start asking all the right questions. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for us to really embrace the change. We are moving into, I have a feeling that we as a country are going to make history. The next 20-25 years are going to be really defining for us, keeping the current globalized changes in mind, keeping the current power struggle in mind. India will play a huge role in the world economy and the world politics going forward. And that is where youngsters like me, like you, really need to understand the actual sense of education and then ask the right questions, take the right decisions out there. It's a real happy day for me. Once again, this Independence Day is very special for the fact that education is going to see a change in our new India. Once again, wishing all of you a very, very happy Independence Day. Look at the sad part of all this. I've been speaking since the last 13 minutes and I'm speaking in English. All this while, I was talking about the ills of the English education system, and now I'm talking in English. Yes, we have become like that, what Macaulay dreamt. We are people who are Indian in blood and Indian in color, but English in taste, English in thoughts, English in morals. It's time to really change this. English has given us, probably this is something that I really thank the British for. If there is one thing which I really thank the British for, in fact two things. One is they really made us united. We were broken dynasties. We were small kingdoms who were fighting against each other before the British landed on our soil. The moment they landed on our soil, we became united as one country called India. So we should thank the British for really bringing us into unity. The second thing I really need to thank the British for is for the language of English. Now, without language of English, today we would not have been pioneers in all the fields in this globalized world. So it's time to really make Macaulay's dream wrong. We should not only be Indians in our blood, in our sweat and in our color, we should be Indian in our thoughts, opinions and morals as well. Proud to have born in this amazing country, amazing heartland, amazing mother for all of us. Once again, wishing all of us a very happy Independence Day. Vande Mataram, Jai Hind, Namaste.